Gino.
We want to start off by thanking you for joining us every Thursday from 12 to 2 p.m. because you're learning a lot. I mean, just in our first segment with Lisa Odom, with McDowell Odom, LLP, attorney at law right here in Santa Clarita, I've already got a wealth of knowledge, and we still have another half hour of great information that Lisa's going to share with us. And you'll hear her passion. She loves this stuff. Like, we love doing mortgages and making sure that you are paying as little interest as possible and making smart decisions so you can retire earlier. That's our goal, right here, every week.
Every week. And Don, you know what I'm thinking about that I hear, and I know we feel the same way, and we just discussed it a little bit a second ago, is that I am afraid of people going somewhere else and getting bad advice. And
yes, we want to do every mortgage in this town because we can guarantee that you are going to get sound advice.
Absolutely. And I know that Lisa feels exactly the same way. And in fact, I think in certain sort of ways, this is even more important than mortgages because I think it's something we all want to do. We want to leave a legacy. We want to leave things for our kids. God forbid something untimely happens and it's not done right. In fact,
you don't usually plan for that.
You don't, and that's why it's untimely, right? You know, one of the things that we were discussing earlier is trust maintenance, and it's because, you know, for example, I know I drafted a trust, but you know, it's what 9 years old, never amended it, never changed it, recorded the properties.
You've had a few kids since then.
Had 3 kids since then. Okay,
look at Lisa's going.
Yeah, she's freaking out right now. She's about to tackle me and go grab me to go get it right now out of my drawer. And at the end of the day, half the people that I left in charge of things are no longer around. So, you know, it's sad, but the reality is this is a document that needs to be maintained. It's a living document, and it needs to be maintained regularly because your wishes may not be correct. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely touched on a really important subject. You know, a revocable living trust is managed by a trustee, and when you're still alive, typically the people who create the trust are the trustees, you know, as while they're alive. But once you pass, someone else is going to step into your shoes, and you want to make sure that you really trust those people. And there are times where maybe because of the death of a parent, you are no longer close to a sibling who you named as the trustee. And that trustee is now going to be maintaining the money for your minor children. And that might not be what you would want anymore, given how they behaved when a parent died, or who knows. I mean, you know, families are the most complicated things on earth. I mean, I often joke that we put the fun.
And you're so passionate about what you do, huh?
Yes, it's very complicated. It's a lot of personalities and a lot of different needs and wishes, and even amongst your own children. I mean, you have 3 kids. You know, each of them is probably so unique and different, and they might have different needs. And sometimes children maybe have autism or something that means that they won't be able to take all of their monies the way that your other children might be able to. I mean, the gamut of potential issues that there are in an estate plan are huge, and they really need to be discussed, and so that your plans can be, you know, so you can have proper planning, and you know that this will all be a smooth transition, the goal always being smooth transition. The alternative is, if you don't have an estate plan of any sort, is chaos, really what it comes down to. That's a good word for it. It's chaos in a couple ways. I mean, probate court is where if you don't have a trust and you have assets that exceed $150,000 or you own real property, some type of probate proceeding is going to be needed to transfer your property to your heirs. It is a very costly court proceeding. It's based on statutory fees, and I think I told you guys it's $23,000 for just attorney's fees for $1 million estate, and that's based on gross value.
Now, let's explain gross value. And if you just tuned in, we're speaking with a very informed and intelligent on estate planning with Lisa Odom and McDowell Odom, and she's sharing with you what you need to know about estate planning and why it's important to you and your family. And so sorry to cut you off, but it's really good information that you're sharing. And I wanted to talk about gross value because a lot of people go, well, my house is upside down. I have no gross value. I have no value. But it's gross, meaning if your house is worth 500, it counts 500,000. It counts as 500,000, even if you owe 600,000. So it's easy to get up to those 500,000, $1 million marks when you add up all your assets. It's the gross total of all that, right?
Well, that's right.
And this is what I was thinking about is there's tangibles and intangibles. You mentioned some of the tangibles, right? Real property, 401k, all these things we think about all the time. The big one that's intangible, life insurance.
Absolutely.
You could very possibly have a $250,000 life insurance, a $500,000 life insurance policy. If you have a $500,000 life insurance policy, or maybe let's say a quarter on each spouse, and something was to happen to them untimely, and a $500,000 house, you're up to $1 million estate.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take much in California to get up to those numbers, and then.
Cool. We're millionaires. We have $1 million. We have $1 million life insurance policies.
Right. Yeah.
Our estates in the millions.
Wait. But that's only if we're dead.
I hope our wives aren't listening to this.
Love you, honey, on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So, but the other thing I'm thinking is, because a lot of people, and unfortunately, we deal with homes all the time. I see people that need estate planning every single day.
Absolutely.
Every single day. And the reality is, I think people are afraid of the cost, or they think it's something they don't need. So I think it's obviously much more.
Or the hassle. They think it's overly, unbearable to have to put all this together.
Okay, to that point, Don, the best and most important thing about a business plan, when people do a business plan for a bank or something to get a loan, is actually the benefit they gain from doing the business plan. Not necessarily whether they get the loan or not. And I believe that when you do this, you have to ask yourself really difficult questions about really, who do you want to take care of your kids? Who do you want to manage their money? So if nothing else, a great exercise for us to do individually as a part of the process.
Absolutely. I mean, we start every client engagement with an estate planning questionnaire, and it walks through a lot of these issues. You talked about advanced healthcare directives. I mean, sometimes, you're married to someone and you know them so well, and you assume that they would want to be kept alive at all costs, and then you find out that they have an incurable disease and it doesn't look like they're really going to make it. They're okay with you pulling the plug, and sometimes you don't know until you start going through those questions, and they're hard questions, and they're particularly harder they're really hard for younger families. It's always the younger families who think that they don't need to worry about estate planning because, well, mainly nobody wants to think about dying. I mean, again, they don't think they have an estate, number one, and their death is so far away, but you never know in this day and age, cancer and car accidents.
Well, I told you about my scenario. My dad, I pleaded with him just because I watched what my sister went through. It's my stepsister, what went through with her family, and it was awful. It was absolutely unbearable what I was watching. So I told my dad, I require you to go get your trust done and go put all your stuff in. I want your directives, because I know you've already told me that you basically do not want to be kept alive, drooling on yourself for, years and years, draining your estate that you work so hard for. Then you better give me a directive, because there's no way I'm going to be able to pull that plug if that's what you want. And I don't want us, my sister, but both my sisters and my brother, fighting over your estate, because I don't care about it. I just want it to go the way you want it to.
Right. So
tell us what you want, and it will make it easier. And unfortunately, just a less than 2 years ago, he basically died overnight. Got an infection that turned septic, and boom, he's gone the next morning.
Well, and you're touching on a lot of really important things, because it's true. Once you need the advanced healthcare directive, it's already a very emotional time for your family. And you're
Good
right.
point.
Sometimes children, think about it. If you have adult children, let's say your children are all 18, 19, 20, and your spouse has passed away, and so the person that the hospital is going to go to make these decisions is probably going to be that 20-year-old or 19-year-old, and they may not be equipped to make it, and they're too emotional. And this is a way of picking people who can help guide that process, and they're change. That's the amazing thing about your estate plan. It's something that you can change over time. It may be that at 20, your son is not, the perfect choice on making healthcare decisions. They maybe don't have the maturity yet.
Sure.
But
and that's a lot to ask.
It's a lot to ask. And I've seen
When you're
firsthand.
talking about your parents and stuff, and you're 12 years old trying to make a difficult decision and stuff, or an 18-year-old, doesn't matter. It was even hard for me.
Absolutely.
At my age, and knowing my dad's directives.
And that's a lot of age.
Took a lot of, thank you, Gino. As Gino Franti, former co-host of the Don and Gino show. Now it's going to be the Don Getling show.
Hey, he's the one that said that we had more room in the studio today.
Touche. But what's nice is by working with Lisa ahead of time, you can make smart decisions unemotionally. These are the decisions that you should make, but you do not want to make. Trust me on this. I've gone through it. And Gino, I hope you don't have to go through it for a long time. But going through it when you're emotional changes the whole gamut. It changes how you would react. Knowing it was already handled actually eased us through the process of a very difficult time, watching my dad pass. But thank goodness we didn't have to worry about that stuff on top of just losing my father.
So when we come back, we'll get into more detail on this, but I'm starting to view estate planning as an instruction manual on how to proceed when I'm gone.
And actually, not only while you're gone, but even if there's a period of incapacity as well. So it helps keep the orderly. Okay.
So you better stay tuned because we have the final quarter of the Lisa Odom Hour. And we're going to share some more great information that's going to protect you and your family because we care and Lisa cares. So don't turn that dial. We'll be right back on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. We'll be